Okay, so good morning everyone. Today's article, it's a very simple application and an extension of what we were discussing about digital inclusion the other day. Okay, so digital space, this became a method or a platform for communication. For example, you have Twitter, that is X, Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. Whenever a public personality posts their opinion on a platform like Twitter, it can have multiple reactions. Recently, after the Pahalgam attack, the Navy officer's wife, the Navy officer who was killed in the Pahalgam attack, his wife, Himanshi Narwal, that's her name if I'm not wrong, she posted on Twitter that maybe we should not escalate the tensions. The reaction to that was very bad. Even Foreign Secretary posted something on similar lines, and online trolling and cyberbullying went to the extent of targeting his own daughter. And we do not have any laws addressing this problem. Now the question number one is, since you are talking about rights, which fundamental right is being violated here? Firstly, what is the right through which you can express your opinions? 19. What are the six freedoms under Article 19? One of the freedom is freedom of speech. So if someone expresses their wish or their opinion, however, Article 19 Clause 2 also talks about reasonable restrictions. Here, none of those restrictions apply because whatever was expressed is not wrong. But it is probably against the sentiment of the crowd at this point of time. But it is not a justification to say something so mean that it almost feels like the person should try to, feel like they're inferior, or sometimes in extreme cases they go to the extent of suicide. This is the phenomenon of cyberbullying. So today's article is a very short, straightforward article, very small article. The explanation will also be simple and straightforward within the lens of this fundamental rights. Okay. So you're trying to understand cyberbullying and what are the legal provisions therein. And we will see and try to apply how this will extend in GS4 ethics angle also. Short video, 10 to 15 minutes, nothing more than that. Okay. Now, we have seen the context and we are seeing an online hate spike. Now, what is hate speech? Today's homework will include you to do some research on whatever I am giving right now. What is hate speech? What is the technical definition? Definition of hate speech. Do we have a legal definition? I am not giving the answers, I want you to find the answers. This is how I want your newspaper sessions to be like. What is the legal definition of hate speech? Find out. There is a body called Law Commission. What did Law Commission say about hate speech? Which report spoke about hate speech? Is there a report at all? Should we have a report? What is law commission? Write these questions down. Please write these questions down. What is law commission? Is it a permanent body? Or is it a ad hoc? Ad hoc means something that is created impromptu depending on the need. Is it an ad hoc body? Are the decisions or the recommendations rather, sorry, the recommendations, are they binding on the government? What is the link between law commission and judiciary? These are all the prelims level questions that you need to find out. So, the context here, most of the times, you can extend the cyberbullying to vulnerable sections also. Vulnerable sections topic. Who are the vulnerable sections here? Women, journalists, and minorities. Why only these sections? Sorry? These are vulnerable because the power dynamics, power, there is asymmetric, write this word down, asymmetric distribution. Vulnerable sections have asymmetric distribution of power against them. Okay? What does this mean? They do not have a bargaining capacity. Or there are existing social prejudices. Write this word down. Existing social prejudices lead to intersectionality. What is this concept of intersectionality? Let's see. What do you mean by intersectionality? Anybody? Sociology? Okay. No one? Okay, fine. Intersectionality means, let's say for example, you have a existing social prejudice, meaning there is a bias already. For example, caste. Caste, I'll give you an example that is better way to understand. Imagine there is a Dalit who is facing historical prejudice. Dalit plus let's say women, Dalit women. There is patriarchy, there is casteism. Two things are combining. Intersectionality. Now let's add one more layer. Dalit women, let's say physically challenged. One more layer. One more problem. Dalit women, physically challenged, urban poor. At least in the rural setup, you might have a community that can help. When multiple such problems increase or aggravate the alienation from the society, the exclusion from the society, the concept therein is called intersectionality. A term that you should definitely remember and use in your answers of section 1, GS1, society. And always remember this, vulnerable sections will face intersectionality. Alright. Now, what is cyberbullying? Is there a technical definition? Do you think there is a legal definition for cyberbullying? If there is a legal definition, it means that there is a law. In the very first line, I told that we don't have a law for cyberbullying. So there is no legally accepted definition. No law says that this is what cyberbullying is. So how are we dealing with this aspect? In a very haphazard manner. There is no coherence in how we are dealing with cyberbullying. Now, we talked about freedom of speech. Now, from a legal angle, from an ethical angle, tell me what is so problematic about cyberbullying? We discussed this aspect when we are dealing with our fundamental rights chapter. Fundamental rights, Article 21. We spoke about an underlying value in ethics. Ethical angle for Article 21. What is it? What is the ethics behind making right to life a fundamental right? Tell me. Dignity. Human dignity. Why do we apologize to someone? Hey, why do you say I'm so sorry? Let's say if I'm late, I'll say I'm so sorry. Why? Did you ever wonder why do we even apologize? What will that apology do? An apology is a acknowledgement of human dignity. You can write this down. Poland apologized, Germany apologized for World War crimes. Why are they trying to bring that history back? Because that has been a black mark on their history. They want to erase that. So what are they doing? They're coming and apologizing and saying that we are so sorry that we did that in the past. By saying sorry, you are reducing the bitterness and increasing the dignity of your enemy. That's a very human way of dealing with a conflict. The difference between other life forms and human beings is the ability to think, and your ability to think should try to figure out non-violent methods of conflict management. A manifestation of that idea is our need to tackle cyberbullying. Yes or no? Did you think of cyberbullying in this way? That is the basic nature of human being. We want to lead a dignified life, and abusing someone is never a dignified way of dealing with conflict or disagreement. How you deal with disagreements with grace without trying to insult the other person and their opinion will increase your respect. Your way of handling things in a dignified manner will not only reduce tension between the two parties but also increase your respect. So the underlying thought of our moral philosophy in Constitution, there is this question in 2021 mains GS2, what is constitutional morality? one of the element of constitutional morality that is given in that dimension is this human dignity aspect. Cyberbullying is a methodology, it's a phenomenon. Cyberbullying is a phenomenon which undermines this human dignity and should not be encouraged. Not just cyberbullying, bullying in every sense. Why is ragging banned? Any thread, if you catch something like this, anything that insults and lowers the dignity of a human being, discrimination, for example, untouchability became a fundamental right. Do you think you have to alienate Article 17 from 21? No. Since untouchability is such a big problem, it was given a separate fundamental right, without leaving it to open interpretation. They made it very clear, because caste system was a very big and is a very big problem, but in a different format. Caste keeps on evolving. Anyway, let's come back to the discussion here on cyberbullying. So this is how we have to link any legal issue to the ethical issue, by keeping dignity at the center. Now, what do we understand by cyberbullying in the present times? You post morphed pictures, or you doxing means it's short for documentation, where personal information of the person you want to bully is posted online. Let's say you hate someone, and the public mood is very angry because of something that that person said. What if you drop their address, where they live, on public platform? What if you put their phone number there? People can react in multiple ways. Do you feel safe? That is exactly what is cyberbullying is. And this is a very low level, see, revenge seeking is a very low level way of dealing with conflict, and we should not encourage that. Okay? So it targets the dignity, mental peace, and freedom of expression. These are the problems it causes. How it exploits anonymity. What do you mean by this? Do you know who that user is? Most probably, let's say, how does this fan wars between Tollywood heroes happen? Their fan clubs keep on fighting. In the north, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan. South, Vijay, Ajit, whatever, Pawan Kalyan, Mahesh Babu. Same thing happens. Absolutely no context. They just start a fan war right in the morning. But it gets so personal at points. They either end up becoming a meme material, or so abusive that it impacts the mental health of someone else. Either of the cases is not acceptable. Why is it happening? Because of the lack of recognition for human dignity. So there is a danger here. Anything that is posted in a very critical manner of the government, let's say, for example, should it also be considered as cyberbullying? What is cyberbullying? What if we extend this concept of dignity to the state? Anything that vilifies or damages the image of the state, should it be considered as cyberbullying? We don't know. This is a topic that can be open for interpretation. And this is what was discussed 10 years ago in a judgment called Shreya Shingal case in 2015. Okay. Shreya Singhal versus Union of India case. We have an IT Act that was prepared way back in 2000. Do you have a law that regulates artificial intelligence? Forget artificial intelligence. We had, um, you know, laws that can regulate online space very recently, as recently as 21, 22. They're still based on IT Act. We don't have an updated IT Act or a legal framework to deal with all the issues of cyberspace. So that's the very big legal gap that is causing problem. So you have the present framework. You have the you had the Indian Penal Code, which was, now transformed into BNS 2023. Okay. So what were the provisions back then? What are the provisions right now? You need not by heart IPC sections, etc. But when you're writing a mains answer exclusively on this topic, it's nice to have BNS. Okay. We anyway discussed this Shreya Singhal case. So don't try to, by heart this IPC. I'm just giving it for a context and an information. Now, 2023 had provisions for gendered online abuse, meaning if women are targeted, there is hate speech which outrages the modesty of women or which insults women and does something that can put their dignity down, there are laws and legal provisions that can handle it. But what if it is beyond this one specific scenario? We don't have a law. That is a problem. National Cybercrime Reporting Portal is something that came into existence after BNS. But that is not enough. Mere reporting is not enough. You have this state level cyber cells, National Commission on Women, but these are not enough measures because justice can happen with your effort only when there is conviction. When the person who performed that crime is caught and is punished, only then this issue can reduce. Mere existence of a provision in some random law will not address the whole set of issues. So what are the articles? 1921, the ethics angle. Respect, empathy, responsibility in digital spaces. Along with this, always think about okay. How do you link to this governance? Governance is about processes. I keep on repeating so that you think and understand. Governance is about process. Do we have a process right now? No. It is very ad hoc. Why? Because there is no law. Fundamental rights. Judiciary can uphold and direct the governments to say this is what fundamental rights should look like. It is up to the government. Can Supreme Court make laws? No, that is not the job of Supreme Court. It is the job of the government to make those laws. Okay. So, for example, GS3, cyber security. Why is this an issue in cyber security? Why? Because cyber security, you are not hacking someone's system, but it is a possibility. Right? Next up, do we have a policy? Do we have a tech policy right now? No. Whatever policies that were created were way back in 2000. Even though ad hoc rules came up with respect to OTT regulations, etc. in 2021, we still don't have a comprehensive law. So how do you apply this ethics angle we have discussed? Now what are the questions that you can ask? In mains level you have to talk about response to cyberbullying. In prelims level you have to talk about provisions under IT Act, not IPC BNS, sorry. So what are the themes? Rights of the vulnerable sections, the need for a latest technology law, and ethics therein. This is what okay, this is what we wanted to discuss today. Within this framework, I want you to prepare a short note, whatever homework that I gave you. That's it for today. After this is done, go to the Hindu special edition, like Sunday edition, and read this article. Clear?